Hey guys, today I want to talk to you about temporary escapes. A temporary escape is anything you use to escape the pain of your reality. So, some of the most common temporary escapes that people turn to are drugs, alcohol, and self harm. So, one thing that I want to start by telling everyone is temporary escapes are just that, they're temporary. You're not dealing with your reality, so you're turning to this alternative reality. For me and everyone who knows me, my temporary escape was always self harm. And I would turn to it more frequently after I originally started turning to it. I turned to self harm because I have a high physical pain tolerance, and the emotional pain that I was dealing with was just too much for me. And I just couldn't seem to beat it. So I essentially just felt so weak that I needed to turn to something where I felt strong, that gave me that strength. That gave me that sense of strength, I guess is how I should really say it. So the thing though about my temporary escape is it became my scapegoat. It became my easy way out. It started by my go-to when I was dealing with something very difficult, something that was very hard to get through. But I needed to start turning to it more often because I just really did not want to deal with this thing I was going through. But slowly I started turning to it to every little thing that was not going the way I wanted it to go, or that was just slightly difficult for me. Something I originally could have handled. It was just uncomfortable at first, or was just hard to deal with for a little bit. I didn't even attempt to deal with it. I would just turn to my temporary escape. And it got to the point eventually where when my cuts would heal, I had to cut again, and I had to cut more often, and eventually I had to cut deeper in order to get that same sense of escape I did the very first time I ever did it. So it actually started becoming so much harmful than I expected it to. It took away any of the strength that I did have, because it just became easy. It just became so easy to turn to it. And a lot of people become that way too with drugs and alcohol. It started out with just one drink that night when it was so difficult, which then turned into two drinks, which then turned into 2 days back to back. And just a Saturday night of drinking turned into a Monday through Sunday drinking party. But my thing is, every negative outlet, there's also a positive outlet, right? A positive way we can approach this. Rather than cutting, because it did start getting to the point where I didn't want to keep cutting. I didn't want to keep doing that. That when I thought about cutting, I would bawl my eyes out. I would cry because I was like, why is this the thing I need to feel strong? Why can't I just conquer what I'm going through to show my strength? Like, to me, it was a very weak escape for me because I knew my true potential. I knew I could face this. It's just it was uncomfortable and it wasn't going to be easy. So, I started looking and thinking of other ways I could be handling this. So, it started with Google. I would think of what I was feeling. So, I was feeling weak. I was feeling hopeless. I was feeling lost. So, what did I do? I Googled quotes on hopeless, lost, weak, and these quotes would come up. And these quotes started out pinpointing exactly how I felt, right? But at the end of the quote, it was a turnaround. It was a positive message. And the way I know a quote really sticks with me is when I can repeat it back to myself without like actually seeing it in front of me. So a lot of the times I would actually specifically type in celebrities quotes on weakness, because it seems like people retain stuff about the people they look up to the most. So people you idolize, and people you connect with, even though you haven't met them, like actors, musicians that you connect with, their words stick with you because you look up to them so much. So it was really comforting for me to see that people who I idolize have things to say about the things I'm feeling. So that I relate to them on a way that I didn't think I really did. And from there, I would Google Bible verses on weakness, Bible verses on hopelessness, and Bible verses on loss. And it was so powerful for me to read these verses, because ultimately I did always pray to God before I cut. I always prayed, and God is such a big factor into my life that being able to find a verse and a passage that really is exactly what I'm going through just is all the more proof that God is the way to help me through this. And it was just very refreshing to see that these Bible verses, these people in these verses were struggling so hard, but by the end of the verse, it was a positive message. So I have never read the Bible from cover to cover, but I have read the Bible when I needed it the most. And I've read the verses that affected me the most when I needed them the most. And for me, that is the best way that I could be turning to the Bible. It's so good to be able to use this outlet rather than cutting. Another thing was always song lyrics. And I realized as time was going on, instead of me looking for negative words, like the negative way I was feeling, I started Googling and searching for words that I wanted to feel. So rather than feeling weak and searching for quotes on weakness to convert to strength, I was like, I want to be strong in this moment. Quotes on strength. That's what I would Google, or quotes on redemption, or quotes on perseverance and prevailing. And I saw that pessimist mindset convert into an optimistic mindset. And that's where I saw my true strength started to come out again. I started to feel like me again, because I wasn't just always so negative because I couldn't confront something I was dealing with. So to me, when I started finding my strength and no longer needing my temporary escapes, was once I finally realized what it was that was really causing me to consider myself to be weak. Was it the fact that I just didn't want to deal with what I was dealing with? Was that just laziness then? To me, that's how I started looking at it. Like, I'm not weak. I know I'm not weak. I know I have dealt through and been through a lot of situations. So what really was stopping me? Was it just the fear of the outcome? But at the end of the day, I also control my outcomes. So I had to realize that as well. I basically had to remember who I was. And I let some mishaps in my life change my perspective on who I was. And knowing myself, I couldn't let that be. I couldn't let something change me in a negative way. I only want to be changed for the better. And that's something I have to stick with. So yes, I might have had periods where I would go weeks without talking to people and all that stuff, but I changed it to where if something's bothering me, I allow myself a day, max 2 days to soak in it, to feel sorry for myself or to have that feeling. But anything over 2 days, that's too much. That's when I had to start reverting to my positive outlets, my positive escapes, which I can't even call escapes, positive escapes. Escaping is really just trying to get out of a situation. I was just trying to find a positive approach So I'm not even going to call it a positive escape. It's going to be a positive outlet. So another thing that was really big for me was journaling. So I started like writing about things that were bothering me, and then slowly I started realizing after completing one journal entry, it led to me writing about this other situation, which then led me to write about this situation, and it poured on and on. So the one thing I thought that was bothering me, there was really a bunch of other things that were compiling in me and building up that were causing me to feel so overwhelmed to the point where I didn't understand why something so small was bothering me. It's because there was so much stuff that I didn't deal with that I needed to deal with. I was really running from several different things instead of running from one thing that I thought I was running from. And the beautiful thing about that journal, it actually turned into a book that I recently published, In Case I Never Told You. And in that book, I have self-reflection pages for my readers to actually start confronting those things as well. I think one of the reasons why journaling became so therapeutic to me is because it was a way of accepting what happened, what I chose to let happen, and things that have happened to me. It allowed me to accept them and allowed me to process them, and then it allowed me to conquer them. So that's why it was a really good outlet for me to use that. And something I really want you guys to start to understand is you can choose the way you deal with things. You can escape them, but you never really escape them. You're basically running down a hallway of endless doors. Or you can confront them. And that's the only way you ever really free yourself from ever needing an escape. You can't escape from something that you're not afraid of, right? So escaping is used because you have fear of something. So something I want you guys to also realize is it's okay to talk about what you're going through. For me, it was hard to talk to people about it, not because it was hard for me to say the words. It's because I was afraid that people would think I was just as weak as I was thinking I was, or I was terrified to open up and just have someone just sit there and not know anything to say. But finally, when I got the courage, to start talking to my best friend about some stuff, it was amazing to hear that by me talking to them, they started talking to me. So me looking for help, I became someone's help too. And that was an eye-opener for me as well, because just hearing that someone else is going through something similar, it gives you that much more strength that to know you're not alone. And I think we all know that other people are dealing with situations that are similar to ours, but it's when you finally sit down and actually see the proof that someone is, and then you guys can talk about it and kind of learn off each other, like learn off their approaches, things that they've done, and you can give advice to help them, and you start realizing by helping them, you're helping yourself. And that's just amazing in itself. And you start realizing who you are again. You start like finding your strength to help people. So like I'm someone who I want everyone around me to be good, and then I'm good. But why can't I have both? Why can't I be fixing myself and helping myself while helping the people around me? So if I never went to my best friend to talk about these things, my best friend would be dealing with these things all by themselves. She would be fighting a battle that she's currently can't see how she's going to ever win. And another thing is, if you guys are afraid to talk to people that you know about stuff, there's no shame in calling a mental health hotline, and there's no shame in reaching out to a therapist. I think, especially in today's time, in today's world, there's so much fear going on, and people just really associate talking about mental health as just weakness, and that's just such a negative approach. And it's not until people start seeing their idols talking about their mental health that they feel comfort in speaking about it. Be your own idol, be your friends' idols. So remember, everyone's dealing with something similar and going through something. Why not be the first of your friends to be the one to speak up, which then helps them find comfort in speaking up themselves? Be the idol of your group, be the idol of your friend group, be the idol of your family, and be the one to normalize talking about issues, talking about mental health, to the point where no one ever feels the need to have to bottle up anything. No one has to feel the need to be judged. Instead, we praise people who are finally opening up about their mental health, who are normalizing mental health. I just think people need to start looking at it as a positive movement, not as any form of weakness, right? So I just really hope everyone starts to stop turning to their temporary escapes and start looking for outlets. Everything's going to work for someone differently. And it's important to share what works for you so other people can try it. So again, I've done journaling. I have done just quotes, and those quotes stick with me because they've really influenced me. So anytime I'm feeling any type of shame, I just re-say those quotes. Another thing I started realizing, when I was feeling weak, I somehow always found a way to feel like I needed to attack myself more. I needed to criticize myself more. So I came to the conclusion, every time I'm criticizing myself and critique myself, I need to praise myself 2 times more. So if I'm going to sit here and call myself weak, I need to sit here and praise myself 2 times more. So because I'm sitting here crying and I'm going to criticize myself about that, I'm praising myself that I chose not to cut today. I'm praising myself that I let myself cry for 10 minutes, but then I got in the car, I listened to music, and I drove to my best friend's house, and then I spoke to my friend about it. We're so critical of ourselves that there's no time to be critical of other people, right? So I just want everyone to start small. Start with looking for a song that can cheer you up in your moments of weakness. Find your go-to quote and write it out over and over again. And that's just what we have to start realizing as people. You can be an optimist or you can be a pessimist. You can search for positivity or you can open the door for negativity. So I just want everyone to know that a temporary escape is only temporary, and you're literally just building up that negative energy until it just explodes. It just explodes and you can't handle it. So I want to know what other people use as their positive outlets. I want people to start sharing their positive outlets so other people can start using them. I want people to stop escaping, and I want people to start facing. So I really hope this message helps you guys, especially in this time of need. Especially September is also Suicide Prevention Awareness Month. So I really think it's important for us to start talking more about mental health and normalizing mental health. So I'm going to do my very best to upload more videos this month, especially this month. And I really want people to start giving feedback, because you don't know who's reading comments. You don't know who needs to hear what you have to say. So please make sure that you guys like, subscribe to my YouTube channel, and please just leave comments. Make sure you share, tag anyone who needs to hear this, and let's just start normalizing our mental health. Okay? I really appreciate everyone who takes the time to watch these videos, and I appreciate every like that you guys give me. It really helps me know that I'm actually reaching out to people and it's helping somebody, and that's all that matters. So again, guys, thanks for joining me about temporary escapes, and I really hope you found some of this information helpful. Thanks, guys.